Malaria, a problem of the past and present. Malaria is a blood disease that is caused and passed on through the bite of a mosquito and has wiped its way through the world over the last 100 years. It started in Africa and worked its way all over the world. The first diagnosis came in the late 1800s, and they named the disease and witnessed that there were multiple different types of it. It wasn't until 20 years later that scientists discovered that malaria was passed through mosquitoes. Malaria was then brought into the United States in the early 1900s during the construction of the Panama Canal. Symptoms of malaria resemble that of the flu, including signs of fever, body aches, nausea, headaches, and sweats/chills. Even though the malaria epidemic has been eliminated in the United States, there are still cases of it every year. Around the world, around 2 million people suffer from malaria at one time, making this a problem that is bigger than just the United States. Per year in the United States, there are around 1,700 cases of malaria and around 5 deaths. Malaria is very contagious and easily spreadable. So even though America has been successful in the elimination of the disease, there is always a risk of it coming back. As shown by the chart, since the peak in 1980 and the drop in 1983, the number of malaria cases has been on a rise. As of 2013, the number of malaria cases was still on a rise and was very close to the number of cases that there was when malaria was considered an epidemic. As shown by the images, malaria reached a low in 1932, but in 1934 malaria spread again throughout the southeast. People think that it's not possible for malaria to come back, but as shown by the chart, it is very possible. The main reason for the growing impact of malaria is the spread of it from people traveling. The United States eradicated malaria in the late 1900s, but due to people traveling to other countries where malaria was still present and is still present, it has spread. Undeveloped countries in places like Africa and India that are known for the high amounts of malaria, and when Americans travel to these undeveloped places, they are put at risk of getting it. People travel and then they get bit by mosquitoes, particularly the Anopheles mosquitoes, and then they come down with malaria. Then they come home and interact like nothing is wrong, spreading the disease without even knowing. This involuntary spreading can come through needles, syringes, transplants, blood transfusions, and even from another mosquito biting an infected person. If a mosquito bites an infected person and takes their blood, that mosquito is then infected and can then spread it even further. But a large factor in the spreading is when cases are taken into hospitals. When a patient goes into a hospital with the malaria and it is not known, it is very easily spread. There are different ways to describe the efforts of controlling malaria, such as prevention, elimination, and eradication. Eradication is dealing with the whole world, so getting rid of it everywhere. Elimination is specific to a certain place and taking care of it there. Prevention are the steps that can be taken to stop the spread and stop getting infected. When considering how to ensure that the spread of malaria is prevented in the United States and entirely eliminated, people must examine the outbreaks that have occurred and what should be done to prevent them from spreading through education and through medication. Since not all cases can be prevented, stopping the spread once a person contracts malaria is critical. Also, people who have it must follow the prescribed course of treatment, because if they don't, then it's likely that it won't go away. Also, using bug repellent and mosquito nets help prevent, but also other chemicals may be used. The call to action is, even though malaria has been eliminated from the United States, it is very important for society to understand the causes of malaria and the effects that it had both in the past and what effects it could possibly have in the future. Ways of preventing malaria are using mosquito nets when in an area that has an abundance of mosquitoes, using bug spray, and by taking the malaria prevention medication before traveling. And these are my references.